Good morning and welcome. Happy Hump Day, baby. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Wednesday. I hope it finds you well out there. We got a great show lined up for you. I'll say this. Another something we've never sold before. It's pretty cool. Let's just say this. It's going to be another one of those days where you're going to be able to get some gold and silver at a ridiculous opportunity. So be ready for it. And we got quite a few. That's the best part. We got plenty to go around. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. I think really we're all waiting for what will the jobs numbers look like tomorrow. The peace is holding. NATO summit today. And not surprisingly, they've all agreed we're going to spend more money on defense. And then Donald Trump telling Congress, nobody gets to go home for 4th of July until they pass the big bill. Of course, they need to because the Treasury's going to run out of money, even with the emergency measures. So they got to get the debt ceiling. I guess they could kick the can down the road again. But that's what he said. Nobody goes home until a deal gets done. And I will say after the Senate got done, so the Senate, the House passed one bill. The Senate said, hey, that's not, let's make them even more. It's going to even be more money. Yeah, not how is that not surprising to anybody? It's going to be great. Again, there's certain places you can go where you're going to be able to outperform. Gold and silver, for sure. Already, the Treasury yesterday said, hey, guys, whenever you get this done, and by the way, hurry up, please, we're going to have to sell over $1 trillion of treasuries on top of all the treasury we have to sell. And by the way, we got to do it in August. And then they said, well, you know what? That may be too much. We may have to go into September. They don't have an official number yet. Because you got to remember, they're doing all these, these emergency measures. Whatever they got to put all the money back. Yeah. Wow. Let's just say, I know we're going to skip $37 trillion altogether. Like, we'll just skip it. But how close? Man, we are going to be so close to $40 trillion by the end of the year. It's incredible when you think about it. But here's the thing, like I said, there's certain places that you can really take advantage. Gold and silver are going to be awesome. Right? You're looking at digital everything coming. Right? We've been talking to you about TEXIT. Oh, my gosh. You won't even believe how much bigger the mine is today than when Jason told me about it, at the end of April. And I'm not talking about miners, right? Like I said, we're coming up on 8,000 miners. I was like miner 3,000. Talking about the actual mine itself. This thing is a freight train. It will be, when it is done, the largest mine that only operates within the borders of the United States and the world. And in this case, they operate in Texas. Now, one of the things about Texas, they have cheap power. I know that we always worry about the power grid when the weather does something funky. Did you see the East Coast? Power emergencies everywhere. right? Because it got 100 degrees out there. They have cheap power. One of the cheapest. I did not know this. It's one of the cheapest power places in the United States. But, guys, there's certain places where you're going to be able to win. And then there's other places where you're not. You know, we look at Wall Street, right? You know, stocks are, they're at the all-time highs or right near the all-time highs. And everybody's hoping for perfection. But think about this. Ready for this? Okay, wait a minute. Stocks are at all-time highs. The unemployment rate, 4.2%, which is nothing historically. Right? I think everybody would agree. Is the economy great? No. Is it terrible? No. But yet, they're hammering the Federal Reserve. You have to lower the rates. And I'm not talking about quarter point, half a point, 1 point. No, you need to lower them 3 points. Be smart. Be smart. Understand what's happening. This is a setup, right? And they're going to go big. And again, I've said it 100 times, Jason. It's not like there's a different choice that would be better, right? They're going for the best of the worst choices that they have, and let's just spend it all, right? One last gasp before the digital currency comes raining down on all of us. Patriot Radio News Hour. We know where the winners are. Stay with us. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Wednesday. A quick look in at the market. The Dow's down 75. The S&P's flat. The NASDAQ's up 56. Of course, we had a nice rally yesterday. The 10-year note, 432. We had a 2-year auction yesterday. It did okay, but the foreigners weren't there. And the 2 years are these, so we'll see here. Are we going to see today and tomorrow rates moving up? Because as the week goes on, they do the longer dates. But surprising. Usually the foreigners show up for the 2-year stuff. Crude oil, after the beating it took the last 2 days, up over $1. Oil inventories came out today light. Matter of fact, right now, inventory stockpiles here in the U.S., the lowest levels of the year, as big draws again, not only on the headline numbers, but in Cushing, Oklahoma as well. Gold is up right now, $35.26. So remember, yesterday, gold, really good day. Holding 3,300 and then rallying from there. 33.26. Silver, you know how bullish I am. Also, really strong here. Up 4 cents. It held well above 35 and now at 35.90. So right near the $36 level. And again, make sure you're setting yourself up to win. We know what's going to happen. I mean, do we know, is the peace going to hold them? Who knows? It will for a little while, right? Russia, Ukraine, how much is the big bill going to really cost, right? All of those things. We don't know the exact outcome. But what we do know is we absolutely, positively, 100% know where the train is going. We know exactly where it's going. Hell, they're admitting it. You've got, arguably, outside of Jay Powell, the next two most powerful Fed governors. both came out this week and said, well, yeah, we're ready to cut rates in July, right? Next meeting. Of course, they haven't been voting for rate cuts, but now, now they want them. You know what's coming. We all know what's coming. Get yourself in the position to win. Period. Trump's at the NATO summit today. Incredible what they're... I'll just say this. The spending's even going to be worse than I thought. Here's what they agreed to. Ready? All NATO members have agreed to significantly boost defense spending. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, yeah, we're going to get Europe to pay their fair share. No. This is everybody, including the United States. I mean, we already spend $1 trillion. Isn't that enough? Apparently not. What is the agreement? They're all going to raise their military budgets to 5% of GDP over the next decade. Okay, so just to give you an idea, our GDP right now is like $27 trillion. So that would mean, and I'm just, public school math here, $1.35 trillion. They want to do this to 2035.
Yep.
I'm talking the U.S. GDP is going to be over 30. It's probably going to be close to 40. That's how bad prices are going to get. Trust me on this. Are you kidding me? You're going to spend $2 trillion a year on defense?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. Hello?
Might be more than that. I think some of the spending is going to be...
Is this thing working? Is anybody listening?
I think some of the spending is going to be hidden, Joe. I mean, let's look at this thing. What's not being said or what's not on the official agreement, that's what needs to be looked at. Why do I have the feeling that a lot of 0% interest 30-year treasuries are going to be moved into these European nations? Just take these off our books. In a few years, all of that extra defense spending, you can cash these in at full price. We just need some time here, 2035, to cash these in. Why do I get the feeling, Joe, that's what we're looking at? You need to move some bad debt, let somebody collect it. Some of this debt has 5 years left. Some of the debt has 15 years left. You give it a good 10 years, you can cash this stuff out, and they put money into the system by, defense spending. That moves more dollars. See how it works?
I got bad news for everybody. They'll be lucky if they can buy the same amount of stuff that they are currently buying today in 2035, even though listen, right now they're supposed to spend 2%. Of course, we're way over that, right? But no, 5%. And listen to this. A bunch of NATO members were like, dude, we can't do that. We don't have any money. Right? What? No one will be exempt. NATO doesn't allow for opt-outs or side deals. So this was I don't know, what do you call him, the NATO president or whoever, this guy, Rutte, R-U-T-T-E, he's in charge of NATO. That was his comments at the press conference that, everybody has to do it, and they're going to do it, guys. Listen, that's why I said we already know what's going to happen. You have no idea. Wait till you see how bad the deficits are going to be. Donald Trump has it right. We need to go and cut 3 percentage points off of the Fed's funds rate in hope that the bond market will come down to, like 3%. Hope. 10-year note, 3%. Hope. If it doesn't, if they don't, and right now Jay Powell's saying he's not going to do it, forget about adding a couple $100 billion a year to the debt. We'll add $5, maybe even $750 billion on top of where we're already at. That's how big the numbers really are. And the Senate, I thought the Senate was going to make things a little bit, push back. No, they would. Why would I think that? I'm an idiot. Jason, they can't help it. They all just want to spend money. They just can't help it. And now this NATO deal, think about what the United States just agreed to. 5% of our GDP on military over the next 10 years. We essentially just agreed that we are going to double the amount of spending that we're already doing in the military. How the hell are we going to pay for that?
It's the tooth fairy philosophy. You put a tooth under the pillow and magically money appears the next day. That's how governments, that's how they operate. They're tooth fairy. It doesn't matter how much debt there is, the tooth fairy will produce. And that really is how the people in government think. At some point, they're convinced by the people that have bought their positions for them, the money will be there. Just do what we tell you, and the tooth fairy will always produce. And then to this point, it's since 1913, it's produced when it needs to produce, right, Joe? The Fed gives it to their favored bunch every time they need it. And we'll see. You said knock the Fed funds rate down 3% to get it down to 3%. They might have to knock it down 3% just to keep it at 4 plus.
I don't. That's the thing we don't know, right? The hope is, and I think I'm being a realist here, right? If they cut it, 50 basis points or something like that, the 10-year notes is not going to go below 4%, right? But we need the 10-year note to go way down to afford this type of stuff. And that would the only reason, all of that would do is lower the interest payments for a while. So they could say, see, we didn't raise the deficit that much. Joe lied to you. Joe said we're going to be at $3 trillion a year. Well, we're only at 2.7, right? That type of thing. This is the Janet Yellen version of go big. I told you when she was saying that nonsense what was going to happen. Look at what gold's done. Look at what silver's done. By the way, not that it matters, but I want to keep you up to date. NVIDIA, the CEO of NVIDIA, right? The darling of Wall Street. Guess what he's been doing? He had to file the paperwork, letting everybody know he's been selling just like all the others. Now, Jason, he's kind of like the last one. Selling. Sell. Stocks, been at record highs. I don't know. Does it mean anything? You decide.
Means a lot.
I think it does.
Look at these other billionaires that they've exited up to 2 years ago. That shows you how little faith they have in what's going on. But as of last year and going into this year, lots of selling. All right. Let's get to it. Here's the deal. So I'm so freaking excited. All right. $20 gold pieces. Now, I know you're like, what, $20? You've done $20 gold pieces? I know. Calm down. Let me get to it. $20 gold pieces. 1 through 9. $3,475. But wait. It's like that commercial. The infomercials on TV. But wait. If you act now, there's more. With that, we're going to throw in 10 1-gram silver bars. Yep. 1
gram silver bars. Remember the 1 gram gold bars? These are 1 gram silver bars at no extra cost. Listen, spot is $33.25. So you're getting a $20 gold piece, 10 grams of silver. You're like, it's like 4%, not even.
If my math is correct, we can only do 100 of these. That would be the most. I don't know how much gold we have on this special, but as far as the silver, we can stretch it to about 100 of these.
Well, here's the thing. See, I'm not done yet. Wait, there's more. If you buy 10 $20 gold pieces, I'm going to take the price to $3,450, and you get 100 1 gram silver bars. That's like a credit card worth of silver. And to give you an idea, 100 grams of silver, that's over 3 ounces of silver. Right? You know, silver's like $36, right? So that's like over $100 for nothing. 800-951-0592. Man, this is probably the best sale we've had, at least in the last couple of months. $20 gold piece, $3,475. When you buy one, and by the way, you can have a Liber Saint, your choice. Mix and match them, I don't care. All Saints, all Libs, whatever you want to do. $34.75. For each one you buy, I'm going to give you 10 1 gram silver bars. And they're if you got the gold gram bars, they're the same. I don't know how they do it. You know, technology is great. They're all individually stamped and everything. I mean, it's right on there. They're super cool.
I'm thinking they're laser engraved, kind of like our crypto coins are. If you actually peel the sticker off,
laser
etched.
Yes, I'll get it out there. Yes, if you buy 10 20s, and again, you can buy all Libs, you can buy all Saints, you can mix, you can match. You will get 100 1 gram silver bars, and they're packed like a credit card, right? So
a big credit with silver. It's a big credit card.
Yeah, bigger. Yes, yeah, more like a quasi index card almost, right? Not quite that big, but pretty big. And on top of that, $34.50 if you buy 10 or more. So $34,500 gets you 10 20s and 100 1 gram silver bars. Or you can just buy them one at a time, $34.75, and you get 10 1 gram silver bars for every one you buy at 800-951-0592.
On the 10, that's putting you between $350 to $400 in freebies if you order 10. So if you want to get in deep on gold and get yourself 10 ounces of gold, this is a great way because you're just cashing in with silver and gold savings.
And I'm just telling you, it won't be long when a roll of Silver Eagles is going to be $2,000. I'm telling you. Won't be long. $2,000. Yeah, I just skipped $1,000. Did you notice? I just skipped it. $2,000. Having some of these gram bars and gold and silver, it's actually a really good idea. Well, gosh, I don't need $10,000. I don't need $2,000. Right? I just need, like $1,000. Well, here's some 1 gram silver bars. Right? Here's a couple of grams of gold, right? You're going to need these smaller pieces. 800-951-0592. This is where the winners are going to be. Speaking of non-winners, new home sales collapsed. I actually thought the number was wrong, and I went and looked somewhere else, and no. Down 13.7% in May. And, of course, we know May is like one of the big months. According to the data, 6.3% lower than May of last year. Well below the 6-month average, the 1-year average. Also worse than the pre-pandemic sales of 2019 and 2018. One of the lowest numbers in memory. A large fall in home sales in May has canceled out all the positives from the previous months. And they're saying home builders are now, and I had dinner last night with some friends of ours. One of them working in the new home industry here in Arizona. They've started laying off here. And we're better than everybody, just about. No, they can't sell them. They're laying off construction workers. Salespeople are coming next. Jason, this was just way, way below what anybody had expected. But guess what? The price, $426,600. That is 3% above last year's number. And by the way, the number of homes sold skyrocketing to over 500,000 homes that are for sale that haven't been bought. Jason, they're closing in on a 1-year supply of new homes.
Yeah, I've been noticing I'm in one of those neighborhoods that just kind of builds forever. And they're getting on the other side of this county road where they're starting an entire square mile of new homes, schools and other stuff. For the first time, I've been there coming up on 5 years. For the first time, I'm starting to, when I'm coming to work, I don't see as much activity as I usually have been seeing. So I'm wondering if the home builders in this large building area, I wonder if they're, because, it's not just, Colorado. These guys are all over the nation. So they it's a business model, and you've got to slow down. You slow down across the board, right, Joe? Because you can't sell what you got. You don't want to be building more. You don't want to have a glut, right?
Yeah. At some point, you got to stop, right? When you're talking about a 10-month supply of homes, and the problem is, if we come up with this number again in June, right? Now we got a big problem, right? Because now we'll literally be talking about, holy crap, we've got a year supply, and that's just unheard of. So we how quickly has this market in real estate turned from there was nothing out there? Matter of fact, the only thing you could buy was a new home, to now there's homes everywhere and nothing is selling. And
do you remember? A couple of years ago,
price and interest rates.
Remember a couple of years ago, we were talking about China, all the property companies. Remember, America, because of the dollar, we feel these things less and later than other countries. But China has been going through this. We haven't covered it. I don't know how good is China right now with all that property? Are they still blowing up entire buildings because of their glut?
I think they are. Yeah, I think that was what they decided to do. We'll just tear them down. Patriot Radio News Hour. Jump on this special while they last. 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we're going to be right. Full speed ahead. Spend, and spend some more. That is what is coming. Nobody goes on vacation until it gets done. By the way, allegedly, we'll see, we've got two probably most important Fed governors that aren't Jay Powell saying they want to cut rates in July, at the end of July. Boy, here comes $4,000 gold. Here it comes. Because I don't think they're going to do it. And eventually, too late, Jay, before the end of the year, rates will be cut. Trust me on that. Matter of fact, they may have to do it in July just because of what the Treasury announced last night. Yeah, we got to. It's not like the auctions stop, right, every day. No, we got to sell over $1 trillion on top of all the stuff we got to sell. Right? Because, like I said, we don't even know what the debt is, right? Listen, I know we're at $38 trillion. That I know. Now, the question is, how close to $39 trillion are we going to be? I think, is $40 trillion in the bag this year? Is it in the bag? It may be. It's incredible. Be smart here. I'm glad this whole Mideast thing's out of the way. Now you're just going to see gold roar. Not because, a flight to safety, which is great. The dollar's on its way down, and it's on its way down big. Fundamentally, it has to. We have no other choice. I want you to understand it. Now we got to hope the bond market will play along. I don't know if it will. I hope it does. I hope it does. Because if it doesn't, 800-951-0592. The other winner in this is going to be in the digital space. We know it. How about today? Every day now. Bank of America. Right? Wait a minute. Hey, we're going to do stable coins too, right? The other day, MasterCard before the JP Morgan. Right? They're all running to it. Why? Because they know they're going to win. Come win with us. Come with us. Yesterday, we had a call, which, by the way, when you become a miner in TEXIT, twice a week, they have Zoom calls with Bobby. You can ask him anything you want. Of course, the first part of the meeting, he tells you where we're going, what's been happening. The increase in mining power, it's been incredible. And I was talking to you guys last week about all the stuff that is coming. He laid it out again yesterday. When this project, because right now we're in layer one crypto. What does that mean? We're building the mine. When the mine is built, you go to layer 2, which is people build on top of your mine. In other words, they use your computing power to do transactions. I mean, it's just that simple. The bigger the mine, the more it's worth. Obviously, that makes sense. TEXIT will have the biggest mine, all of it, inside of the United States. It'll be the only one. Part of what makes it unique. Not only is it growing at rapid speeds, like I said, I was miner 3000. Right? We're talking about miner 8,000. But guys, we're back to it. You know, there was a little lull a few weeks ago after their big promotion ended. Now they got another promotion it's not as good. And he talked about that on the call yesterday. He said, listen, guys, as we keep adding, we're going to make the promotions less because we don't need to.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it just makes sense. It's going to happen. Now they're back. They're adding over 100 miners every single day again. Every day.
You know,
here's the thing. Wait till they start adding 500 a day, 1,000 a day.
You know, Joe and I have been, fully transparent, that this is an investment, it's risk. But if we just push away from the responsibility part of it and just be like, hey, if this thing's going to run, if we just go with everyone knows the risk. Let's just set that aside for a minute. Okay, we know you guys are, you're paying for it. You're taking the same risk Joe and I are. Joe and I putting this on the air would probably a little more risky for us, but let's just go to the optimistic side. Let's go to this thing's going to run. It's going to run really hard, and it's going to run for a long time, and you got to get in early. Start learning how to get your Coinbase set up, get a crypto exchange, get your DEX trade set up. Start selling this to people. Joe and I and Mike Morris will work with you to sign people up until you can do it on your own. And then watch how this thing grows, because you start building a network below you of people that are signed up enjoying what you're enjoying. You can start getting commissions every week, right, Joe? It just builds even faster.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. 800-951-0592. Once again, $20 Libs or Saints. You pick it, $34.75. When you buy one, we'll give you 10 1-gram silver bars for every one you buy. If you buy 10 or more, the price goes down to $34.50. If you buy 10, that's $34,500, and you're going to get 100 1-gram silver bars with it at 800-951-0592. Either tomorrow or Friday. I don't know which. I'll spend most of the show talking about TEXIT to keep educating everybody. To give you an idea of what we're talking about, when I started, the mine was at like 30 gigahash. Right? It's at 460 and on its way to 1 million. With the biggest pieces of equipment are in the ocean right now as we speak. Before July is out.
On the ocean, not in the ocean. We don't want it in the ocean.
On it. Yeah.
He didn't go to the bottom. We're good.
Yeah, it's not on the bottom. It's not like those Chinese cars that were on its way to Mexico. They're not on the bottom. Guys, this is the real deal. You can go to Texas and see it yourself if you'd like. It is a rocket ship, as they like to call it. As you know, they got their plan, the Layer 1 plan, to $16. They're already starting to work on Layer 2, which is people using and building on top of the mine. But just put it this way. The bigger the mine, the higher the price. Like right now, the price is $1.40. Last week of April, it was 46 cents. Right? The first time I mentioned it on the air, it was 55 cents. And then seemingly it went to $1 like in a week or two. And then it kind of hung out there. Right? Now it's surging again. I know already how big the mine is going to be a month from today. I already know. By the way, he puts all the receipts online. You can just watch, you can see it all. The bigger the mine, the higher the price. It's pretty simple. Worst case scenario, you buy some mining shares. They're $995. The most you can buy is 9 shares. You get 2 free shares when you buy 9. If you buy 5 shares, you get 1 free share. The worst you're going to do, if you do nothing, you buy the shares and just do nothing. Within 180 days, you have enough coins to get your investment back. Here's the thing. It hasn't been taken 180 days. That's the crazy part because the price keeps going up. Jason, most of the people, if you signed up the first week, I talked about it in the air, you'll have your money back by the end of July.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
When I brought this to Joe, and then Joe took a day or two to look at it, and Joe got back to me, and Joe was he was a little bit mad. Why didn't you bring this to me sooner? I'm like, well, I wanted to make sure it was actually good. I only took 5 days. I looked at it for 5 days, and then I brought it to Joe, and Joe wished I would have brought it to him 5 days sooner. And it's like, well, I didn't want to give you a crap sandwich, I wanted to make sure it was worthwhile.
What's so funny is a true story. True story. I was so mad. I'm like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Hey, Jason and I, we're going to come right back with the half-empty cup. Call us. Get the gold.